We're back here on the John Fourcade Show, and another one of our John Fourcade specials this week. It is Ford Holiday Sales Event on all remaining 2015 Ford Focus, $3,500 or $4,500 total savings on that deal. Listen, you can't find a better deal than that than right here at Veterans Ford, but all remaining 2015 Ford Focus models, $3,500 or $4,500 total savings right here at Veterans Ford.
Come on, man.
We're back here on the John Fourcade Show, and John, Tampa Bay up next, and this was a team I thought to start the season they would be a 7-9 team. They're pretty close to that now. Jameis Winston has played just like he did in college. Basically, he's a guy that always got his hand in the piranha water in the first quarter or so, but then he comes back, he's a winner, he knows how to win. But I think the big change this year, Doug Martin playing in a contract year, over 1,100 yards rushing. The Bucs are 5-1 this year, decided by game 7 points or less. So John, when it's coming down to crunch time, Jameis Winston's doing what he's did in Florida State. He's doing it with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when it's close.
And Mike, he's also doing it with a pretty good little defense, too. Their defense has played well for them all year long. They got a running game. Martin has played extremely well. Like you said, contract year. It's amazing how these guys can do it in a contract season. And playing in Tampa, I know how tough it can be. I'm glad they're playing in December and not in September, because it'd be a brutal playing in September.
It's still pretty warm in September. It's still pretty warm in December.
Not as humid as it is. I've had some bad experience in Tampa in the summertime, but it's a game where you would think before the season began and on paper, Saints win this. But I'm not sure they can go into Tampa Bay the way they've been playing right now with the way Tampa's been playing. And Tampa's on that little roll right now. They're 6-6, and they're the second best team in the division. Team that they thought would be the best team or second best team is struggling. That'd be Atlanta. So you got Tampa Bay, and Winston's playing some really outstanding football. He's not turning the ball over for them, and that's a big key.
Other thing too is, man, tight ends have feasted on the Saints all season long, and now all of a sudden Austin Seferian-Jenkins is back healthy. We know all about Mike Evans and what he brings to the table. Defensively, what you brought up, they've played good football. Mm-hmm. Gerald McCoy, Levante David. One of the guys who was having a great rookie season was Quan Alexander. Now he's suspended for the final 4 games of the season. So can the Saints take advantage of that sort of situation there and trying to get either that tight end or that back out in the flat, playing against a guy not quite as good as what Quan is? And, man, listen, I give Quan a lot of credit. He was a good player at LSU. Man, he's become coached up, so to speak. He's become a very good player for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
These are about the tight end situation that we have here. Watson, the only guy that we know of tight end wise that the Saints can go against their linebacking core. That's basically who I see that Drew looks at a lot, and it's Watson. I mean, he goes to him quite a bit. He gets his, he's pretty good at, not the deep type guy, but he's the intermediate guy. The guy can catch football for you. There's no doubt about it. The problem the Saints are having is their receiving core. I mean, Cook's had a good game. He can catch every now and then, but they're so inconsistent with the Saints receiving core. Don't know about the running game against Tampa Bay, and that's the only thing that scares me is we don't have a really good running game. Tampa's got a pretty good defense. Now they'll sit back and say, you know what? Let's just tee up on Drew, because I think the Saints are going to be looking at 45 to 50 passes in this game.
I agree with you. And kind of around the NFL a little bit, Johnny Manziel's now kind of back in the episode deal again in Cleveland.
But we got a strike, right? They said it. If he screws up one time, I think it's going to be pretty bad off
Well,
for him.
all I know is, man, I've heard that before with Johnny. So he's back now the front runner, and we'll see what happens with him in Cleveland. I got to believe that after the season's over with, the Browns will release him, and I think he's headed to Dallas. You know, Jerry's been is the one guy that's always waved the flag for him. He sees what's happened with Romo and has had nothing else behind him. I think that's a scenario I could see in the offseason happening, that, Manziel gets kind of cut loose and he's headed to Dallas.
Well, not just that, but keep your eye on the coaching staff in Dallas. Jerry Jones came out yesterday, pretty much ripped his coaching staff and said we should be a better team than we are now. Even when Romo wasn't playing, we should have won some ball games with this coaching staff, and he's blamed the coaching staff. I couldn't believe he did this, but he came out pretty much blamed the coaching staff for why they are where they're at.
I mean, my thing about it is, look at Jason Garrett and look at his record. He's 5-3 as an interim coach. Then he's 8-8, 8-8, 8-8, and then all of a sudden you know, he has a winning season last year and it falls apart. So he's blaming the same coaching staff.
Yep.
I don't think he gets rid of Jason because I think Jason's his guy.
Well, he gave him a 5-year extension last year.
So he's not going to get rid of him, but he's going to want to change the entire staff. Well, you know, come on. It's Jerry being Jerry.
Right.
Absolutely on that.
Well, the reason I'm throwing that out there because there is a coach here in New Orleans who's got some ties to Dallas. I just thought I'd throw that out there.
He ain't headed to Dallas. He's not headed to Dallas. He wants control wherever he goes, and then Jerry will never give that up. Miami's a spot. Miami's a different story. Hey, you hear Chip Kelly and his situation with LaShawn McCoy. I mean, why would Chip say that? You know what? He's not part of your team anymore. Why don't you just lay that down and be over with it?
Over with.
Why are you stirring this up? It goes to show almost his egotistical nature about, you know, I created LaShawn McCoy. No, LaShawn McCoy was there long before you were. And I just don't get how, and it's rare today that you hear a coach go off on a former player.
And, you know, and McCoy needs to chill it out himself.
Yeah,
he got
exactly.
Traded. It can happen. You know, you get traded. They have the right to trade you, right to keep you, right to cut you.
Darren Sproles went off on the Saints.
They have the same thing. You get traded, whatever it may be. That's part of the business. This man doesn't want you there. You go somewhere else. I think they both throwing fire. Putting oil on the fire right here. I really believe though Chip Kelly needs to take the high road to just say, you know, it's over and done with. Shut up, Chip Kelly. You don't need to light it up and let it go further than what it is. It's bad and it's not good for football. It's not good for league. It's two guys that just need to shut up and go play. You in Buffalo and you in Philadelphia. That's the end of it.
I think if Chip Kelly's getting any criticism, it should be criticism on him and how he uses DeMarco Murray. Look all the money he spent with that. Well, how come he isn't somebody talking about on that issue? One of the teams that is hot today, Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yes, they are.
You're talking about losing a couple of offensive linemen. Le'Veon Bell lost for the season. Man, you watch this team play. Man, they are impressive the way they can throw the football downfield. Antonio Brown, man, great job he's done. Martavius Bryant, what he's Clemson guy was overshadowed due to Watkins there. And Ben Roethlisberger, when he's been healthy, he has absolutely lit it up. And D'Angelo Williams, almost like Ponce de Leon, drinking from the fountain of youth. I mean, what he's been able to do in that young defense. Steelers are a hot team right now. They got a heck of a battle this coming weekend.
Well, that's the problem, Mike. You know, they can't really lose any more ball games because you look at the playoff scenario in the AFC, they're outside looking in, the two teams that are above them. But then again, they probably can, you know, make some adjustments. But this is an important game for them. They are playing Cincinnati Bengals, which they lost to early year, and Ben didn't do very well in that game at the end. But I like Pittsburgh in this football game. I think that they got a chance to do things that nobody else has done, is to beat the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, that's the team of the Pittsburgh Steelers. You might not want to be in the AFC having to play in the playoffs.
Other thing, too, is Brock Osweiler. Again, showing up the fact that it's not pretty, and I'm not putting up 400 yards offense, but we putting W's on the board. And I know Peyton Manning or his people have put out the word that, you know, if I'm not going to play here next year, I'll play somewhere else. I mean, you got to take the high road here, too. Brock is doing the job. He's getting the job done. He's winning for the Broncos. And in this spot here, anything being put out by the Manning camp, you got to shut that down. Peyton's got to shut that down.
Well, I mean, just see what happens. I mean, if he keeps winning and you come back at the end of the season, or 2 weeks left of the year, or whatever it may be, they'll make a decision. I mean, it's got to be the right decision for the Denver Broncos, not for Peyton Manning. It's got to be what Denver feels that they're capable of doing. I don't think anybody, when it gets down to the end of the year, if they win the division and they hosting and he hasn't played yet, out of sight, out of mind. I mean,
my thing about it is that's no way I go back to him if I've got all that wrapped up. I got to stick with Brock.
If you're winning and not losing football games, you got to stay with it.
We'll be back with more of the John Fourcade Show, sponsored each week by Veterans Forward.